Warning: the following video expresses my thoughts on the topic of old versus new anime. These very biased opinions are represented by me, not a collective group. So, before you start getting angry about my opinion, feel free to express yours in the comments section or in your own video. Now, with all of the disclaimers out of the way, let's get started. Hey you guys, what's up? It's Anime Blaze coming to you with another Blaze podcast. And if you guys listened to the disclaimer or, I don't know, read the title of the video, you guys know that I'm revisiting an old topic, and that is old anime versus new anime. Now, the reason for me doing this is because I've watched a lot of older anime, and, I've watched a lot of newer anime. And as of lately, my opinions have changed a little bit, or at least have shifted, or something like that. And, and the other reason I would say why I'm doing this is because there aren't really too many people within YouTube, or I guess the anime community in general, who I think have taken an objective approach to talking about older anime and newer anime. I mean, yeah, you can make a video talking about your preference, older anime or newer anime, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that in general, some people, that somewhere along the lines, you have to take an objective approach and look at the pros and cons of both. Like, not just look at it, I mean, like, analyze it. Like, look, just like stare at it, like freaking staring contest, and just look at everything within it and just kind of be like, oh, okay, you know what? I see that and I get it. Those kinds of things. And I don't think there's a lot of people within the YouTube anime community that actually do that. So I'm going to do that. And I guess you could say even another reasons, along with the whole, even more, with the preference of which one specific over the other, sometimes comments amount to, you mad, or get that shit out of my face. For both of them. And like I said, guys, this is just my opinion. So if you have your own, leave it in the comments section or make a video response, whichever you feel comfortable with. And yeah. So with that being said, let's get started with the main part of this. I'm just talking for like 2 minutes straight. So, what really stemmed this? What really stemmed my change in this? Well, I was watching Arcadia of My Youth, Galaxy Express 39, Fist of the North Star, pretty much anime older than the 90s and even of the 90s. And that pretty much stemmed this comment, which I posted on my Facebook page. Sometimes people ask me why I watch older anime. To me, sometimes simple is better. You don't need CG to make a great story or characters. It's about the heart and the effort that you put into it that makes it all worth it. Now, let's take that into consideration for a second. Why do I say this? This topic within itself, or this comment? Well, to me, when I started watching those older movies and I started looking at the animation, and then I started thinking, just about what those people had within that time period, they didn't, think about it. They didn't have CG animation. They didn't have computers to freaking like animate the heck out of everything. As far as I know, there were no HD animes out there. Heck, there wasn't even any HD TVs, so I guess that's pretty much out of the question. So, for the most part, this gave me something of more of an appreciation of older anime. And just so you guys know where I'm coming from with the definition, I have the definition. And I'm using definition 3 right here so you guys can look at it. Appreciation, clear perception or recognition, especially of aesthetic quality, such as, of course, an art appreciation. And that's what I pretty much feel for older anime. I mean, like I said, think about it. They didn't have a lot of the newer stuff that we have now. They relied almost 100% of the time off of their own life experiences and their own imaginations, and really wanted to push the boundaries with what they could really do. I mean, like, for example, to me, look at Captain Harlock. Harlock has, as far as I can tell, no CG whatsoever. The character of Harlock himself stands out more so than newer anime characters. He has the heart, the integrity, and just like the qualities that I guess a lot of newer anime characters don't really have that they should really look upon. If you ask me, that's just my honest opinion. They don't really have the same characterization as him, or such as Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, or even the depth of a female character such as Maytel from Galaxy Express 39. Because those of you guys who know older anime know that, there's a lot more to her character than just being mysterious. She's actually a useful asset to the series. She's actually a key role within the series in general. And that's something that you don't really see with female characters nowadays. So, there's that. Rosa Versailles. I did a whole video of the evolution of the female protagonist within anime, of where I thought it went, where it was, and where it fell to. So you guys can check that out in your own spare time. But, anyways, the point is that, that's where it is. I guess that's pretty much it. Now, getting beyond my own personal thoughts on this, let's talk about the pros that older anime has over newer anime. One of them, for example, or at least what I've noticed, older anime tends to take the storytelling side of an old elderly family member. Let's just think about it. Pretty much everybody has the old family member who was within a war or some kind of traumatic event within the past, that that they want to make sure that the current generation knows about. And let's face it, when you listen to them, they don't really throw in any surprises, any like BS or anything like that. They tell you the story straight up exactly as it was. Not really any exaggeration, but exact eyewitness accounts of how it was felt to them. So older anime, from what I can tell, takes on the aspect of the older generations. They make you feel like you're within the story, like it's true, like you're actually there living through the exact same adventures and the problems that they did. And that's really cool that they're able to do that. Maybe more so newer anime is able to, you're able to relate to it more, but even more so, older anime, it makes you feel like you're actually there. Maybe it's more believable. I don't know. But that's just the feeling that it gets. For me, anyway. Another one. Like I said, older anime has a lot of concepts that aren't expressed in newer anime. For example, I know I've probably rehashed this so many freaking times, but I don't really care. Captain Harlock. Let's take a small look into his character. He's virtuous. He lives up to his promises. He doesn't betray his friends. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. He has great respect for the dead. Lives a certain lifestyle, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of aspects that he has you don't really see. Male protagonists that we have nowadays really don't feel like they embody what he had, or even what Kenshiro had. And that's a major flaw, or a pro, I would say, to older anime than to newer ones. Another thing I would say is that older anime doesn't exactly feed into trends like at all. If anything, it probably invented them, or it's probably the reason why we have trends within newer anime. For example, I'll just give like a small example. I'll go more in depth to it when I talk about newer anime. For example, Fanservice. If it wasn't for Go Nagai, who, messed around with stuff like Cutie Honey and a lot of his other older works that, just played around with the idea of it, we wouldn't have Fanservice. But even more so, older anime really, to me, doesn't really feed into trends. It doesn't like live up to a specific stereotype that is always going on and on within the other anime that are within its time. And I'll talk about more about that when I talk about newer anime. So, let's, another thing I will say while talking about we're still talking about the pros. Another thing is lower budget. Now, you would probably say something along the lines of, well, wouldn't a lower budget be a con? Yes, it is. However, I think that with the limited resources that these animators and people had back then, they were forced to focus more so on the characters and the development of the story and the plot and everything in order to keep an audience interested. Because let's just look at it for example. Newer anime. Newer animes, there are some that have like a really, really high priced budget and then they fall extremely flat and they're not exciting at all. And they don't exactly live up to the hype or the amount of money that, people poured into it or a company poured into making it. And that's a con for for newer anime, but yeah, that's what I think about it. All right, moving on to the cons of older anime. Like I said, like an old, just like I said before, of like being an old guy, like an old man. Older anime is pretty much set in its ways, and it probably won't ever change, ever. And with that being said, it's hard. You guys know what it's like. Older relatives and stuff like that. You try to tell them one way, hey, I think we should try this, and they like shun you immediately, and those kind of things. That's what older anime does. It doesn't seem like it wants to reinvent itself. It wants to keep playing off of the same old thing that it did. So maybe in a way it does feed off of trends, or in a way it doesn't want to change. It wants to stay in its old ways. It wants to stay the way it is, live in the past. So that's pretty bad. And another con of older anime is that the animation is borderline terrible. I mean, yes, for its time, maybe it was great, but and you can't really judge it too badly. But at the same time, you have to really take a really good look at it and say, yes, that animation now probably isn't as good as where we are. Those kind of things. And yes, lower budget equals more focus on plot and character, but low budget doesn't always mean great animation either. So you have to cut costs somewhere. Is that. And another one is that it might not be appealing to a new, younger audience. Like I said, old man talks about talks about old things. New guy comes up to him, tries to come up with new ways to do things, doesn't want to listen, and there you go. Got a conflict. Another thing, just like, it's a con, but this is a con that goes for both newer and older anime. Just like newer anime, the art style can take time getting used to. Like, for me, like Captain Harlock, or every anime that has ever been done by Leiji Matsumoto. Before I even stepped foot into an anime series that he ever made, I was so biased about it. I thought it was the ugliest character design that I had ever seen in my life. I didn't want to have anything to freaking do with it at all. So, but over time, I started looking more so into the story and just of what he tried to do with it. The more inclined I started to get into watching it. So, it goes either way. Even for newer anime, I still have problems with it. So, yeah. But just give you guys an older example. A few examples of older anime: Captain Harlock, Galaxy Express 39, Devilman, Rose of Versailles, Slayers, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, Rurouni Kenshin, Berserk, and even Mason Ikoku. Those anime within themselves are the building blocks for the newer ones. Without the older anime shows, we wouldn't have a lot of the newer ones that we have now. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. Just to give you an objective approach, guys. Just to give you an objective approach. All right. So, moving on to the next topic. New anime. And yeah, I know I'm pushing 15 minutes here, guys. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you don't have to. There's pictures going by, but just open up another tab, okay? Yeah. Let's talk about newer anime. Generally speaking, newer anime will almost always have more appeal over the older anime. Is it a known fact? I don't know. Maybe it is, but let's just think about it. As time goes on, a lot of the different trends that happened in the past, more people don't really care for it too much. For example, music. Nobody I know really listens to disco anymore, except if you were born, unless you were born in the 70s or 80s or even just somewhere around that time, somewhere before the 70s and 80s. You don't really have an appreciation for it. You don't really like it that much. And that's cool. And even funk. Nobody really listens to funk anymore, even though I do occasionally. But still, that's not the point. You know, living in the past, older anime has that disadvantage. Newer anime likes to live in a new current time. And, just to give a few examples, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Fairy Tail, Death Note, yes, even Haruhi Suzumiya, and even Ghost in the Shell standalone complex deal with a lot, just our building blocks of the older ones as well. And these shows don't exactly live in the past, from what I can tell. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much true. And guys, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s are over. It's time to move on. But yeah. So, what are the pros of newer anime? Well, just like the pros for older anime, which talked about a lot of the older concepts of manliness and living up to the specific expectation, um, from like Captain Harlock in Fist of the North Star to Rose of Versailles, which actually had a useful female lead. Even Galaxy Express 39 had a female lead who pretty much was the key, like the main key part of the storyline. Maytel, look her up. She's good. Um, just like those express a lot of concepts that we don't see a lot in newer anime. Newer anime has a lot of the concepts that you don't commonly see within older anime that older anime wouldn't have even thought of or dreamed of. And just to name a few, Death Note, for example, it goes about the concept of what is justice, or if you had the power to change the world, would you? Would you change it at a price or what? Even Hellgirl, what is revenge? Hellgirl has the idea of what is revenge worth? Planet of the Beast King or Juose, survival of the fittest. I don't think you really see that too much in older anime at all. And especially with the way that those stories are told, you wouldn't commonly see that within older anime either. So that's a huge plus. I mean, even another one for like freaking Basquash, an anime that involves basketball and mechs. I can't even imagine older animators and stuff like that even coming up with an idea like that. It's like almost impossible. I mean, yeah. Another pro of newer anime is the animation. Clearer picture. OMG, did you just say high definition? I mean, let's face it, newer anime is almost always going to look more appealing because with the definitive quality that we can see within the characters and the designs and the animation that it has, we're more so inclined to watch those than the older ones, which might be somewhat blurry and you have to there's a whole upscaling process and stuff like that. Why go through all of that when you can just get high definition all the time? So there's that. But like I said, HD, high definition doesn't always mean popular, but that's for another day. Maybe in the comments. But yeah, there's that. Current and ongoing. You don't have to freaking go on a scavenger hunt to find this anime series. Like, for example, just a couple of weeks ago, or just in general, you wouldn't believe how hard for me to find anime such as Maytel Legend, Queen Emeraldus, Arcadia of My Youth, and just trying to piece together a storyline. Like, with newer anime such as Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Fairy Tail, and all those other shows I pretty much named ahead of time, those shows, you don't have to go on a freaking scavenger hunt to try and piece together a storyline. It's all right there, already laid out in front of you. They give you what they have and pretty much expect you to come up with your own ideas and then probably, spoof your ideas later on. Those kinds of things. I mean, you don't have to hunt down anything. That's the freaking glorious part about newer anime that I freaking love. I don't have to hunt down anything. It's all right there. All right. Another thing, a major pro is that it's mainstream. More people are talking about it, and therefore it's easier to discuss with more people. Nowadays, it's harder to find people that like older animes from even like the 70s, borderline pushing 80s. 90s pretty much has its recognition and is kind of on its own, doesn't really have much to worry about. But you literally, just like a scavenger hunt, like with hunting down the series, you literally have to hunt down people or introduce people to these older anime series in order to have a discussion about it. Why go through all that trouble when you can just talk about the newer anime, which is going on right now at this point in time, and save yourself the energy, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Another pro. It's full of newer anime is full of fresh ideas and full of freaking innovation. Innovation. There is like almost literally no topic that hasn't been done. Literally, I mean, there's almost no topic that hasn't been touched before in the past, and that's also a con. But with you can reinvent it and make it good. You kind of put your own twist on things. Then it's guaranteed, or not really guaranteed, but you have a chance. Kind of like the anime community. But yeah, and here's another pro. Just when you think you've seen everything, there's always another show that catches your attention. This has happened to me so many times. Like, there have been times where I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I'm done with anime, or I think I found my good share of anime that I like, and I don't think I'll have to, really go back into it. But just as I say that, there's another anime that freaking comes out of the woodworks, such as, let's see, what can I find? Newer anime, like freaking, let's see, Soul Eater, Shiki, Romeo x Juliet, Kara no Kyokai or Garden of Sinners, The Squash, Attack on Titans, Samurai Champloo, Sword Art Online, and even Heroic Age. Those shows are shows that freaking caught my attention. I probably would have given up anime, but like I said, always new anime freaking catching your attention. Always. And when we're pretty much almost halfway done here, guys. I know I've been talking for like 22 minutes, and hopefully you guys are still listening. Hopefully. But anyway, let's talk about the cons of newer anime. Sometimes newer anime forgets that CG/newer animation doesn't make a great story. And my specific example of this is freaking Valvrave the Liberator. Like, I was so pumped to see this show because I hadn't seen like a good mech anime in a long time since, I don't know, freaking Zoids and Transformers, and even, yes, Transformers was an anime, and even freaking Gundam. Yes, even though I don't really like Gundam that much. Yes, Gundam and Gurren Lagann and a lot of other crap. I was freaking pumped to see this show. However, when I started watching the show and I started looking at the way that the story was told and that the way that the main character was, he was an angsty teenager who relied almost way too much on his emotion and went on a ballistic rampage. He was getting whooped before. He's getting his ass kicked way before then. And then his emotions come into play and he just starts like whooping everybody and saves the day. And he's instantly a hero. To me, that doesn't really fly. That's a terrible, terrible story. So Valvrave the Liberator, didn't really fly with me. A lot of other shows probably do the same thing. And I will get more into the angsty teenager later on. Another con. Newer anime seems to rely a lot on trends to make them popular. Like I said, with Valvrave the Liberator, it relies almost strictly on the trends. Like Valvrave the Liberator, the angsty teenager. How many times have you freaking seen the angsty teenager who goes in, doesn't know what he's doing, relies way too much on his emotions, he's too emotional, and gets his ass kicked the first couple of times, and then goes in emotional and beats everybody and instantly becomes a hero. I have seen this play out way too many times. I can name a few. Valvrave the Liberator, Dead Man Wonderland, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Guilty Crown. That's 4 different shows. I'm pretty sure there's more, but it's a trend. I mean, it's not that it makes it bad, but it just seems like it pushes those trends so much to freaking like get us to have those or to make it more popular. And it doesn't, or at least with me, it doesn't. Another one would be fan service. And yes, I'm aware of the audience that it's aiming for, but still, High School of the Dead, High School DxD. Could have made like a really epic storyline without all the fan service, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, and sex sells. So, what's that? Even freaking Shonen Ai. And shows that have like almost literally no almost no business having Shonen Ai in it at all. It didn't need it. For example, one show that I'm still currently watching, which is like 2 anime seasons old, Carnival, like literally I'm sitting here watching the show, it's like, oh man, the action's like really good. And then all of a sudden out of the blue, there are so many situations I know Yaoi fangirls are gonna go and like post. I mean, it's probably already done. But Shonen Ai, they push it way too much. Yeah, you have to do what you got to do in order to make your story sell. But at the same time, if you rely on it too much, you're going to bring down not only your show and a lot of other shows that you're going to make, but you're going to bring down the atmosphere of other people who want to make an anime and are, people like me who look at it like, okay, I'm done, those kind of things. And that's really what takes it away from me. It really does. And another con, like I said, just like older anime, artwork can take some time getting used to. I mean, it really can. It's as simple as that. But to close this video off and wrap it up for you guys, just to give you another idea of why sometimes I kind of dislike newer anime over older anime is for this simple fact, or should I say opinion, of just what I've noticed. Newer anime, like I said before, relies on trends and a lot of other things. So it's not so uncommon to see that. But however, sometimes it just kind of feels like anime shows copy and paste, literally word for word, the plot of a storyline and try to make it their own. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, for like example, freaking like back in the day, Dot Hack was like the number one, from what I can remember, was one of the first anime series to put actual people within a video game. And maybe they couldn't get out of the video game. Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. But if they died in the game, they were dead in real life. And to a lot of people back in the day, that was like, oh man, this is pretty serious, man. It's real. So, and I noticed that too. So when it came to newer shows such as Sword Art Online, I wasn't really buying it too much the first time around. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't really on board with the whole thing. But, it really is a good show. I'm not gonna say that. But the fact that it copied and pasted for the most part, from what I can tell, it just doesn't sit well with me. And I'm not only, like I said, I don't really have a problem with it. It's bound to happen from time to time. But I kind of wish, there were more original ideas and stuff out there that didn't have to be rehashed and rehacked and everything in order to make another story. But yeah, guys, that was pretty much it on my my thoughts on it. I know this video was kind of lengthy and really, really expansive. I hope I was able to go about these different subjects and stuff like that, and kind of just give you guys an expectation or just a thought of where I'm coming from an objective approach to anime. I mean, I don't love one kind of anime more than another. I mean, at the end of the day, let's face it, we all freaking love anime, and there's no point in like really saying like, oh, this one sucks, oh, this one better. I mean, anime is anime, and that's all I got to say about that. So with that being said, this is the Anime Blaze signing off, saying never doubt your capabilities because you never know what you might be able to do. And I will catch you guys later in whatever it may be happening that I decide to do from my list of major recording sessions that I need to do. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you guys later.